I'm like, okay, girl, go get him. We're rooting for you. Action, but I wanted to see where this goes with you. So, will you love me too? And he's like, well, hello, hello, hello. So I'm like, okay, girl, go get him. We're rooting for you. Knocks on the door to speak with Justin, and he's very surprised. He's very surprised to see her. He gives us one of those classic facial expressions we've all come to either love, hate, or just scratch our heads about. And he's like, whoa, what are you doing here? And they go inside. Thankfully, his place looks tidy. Maybe they gave him a heads up. He's like, I didn't even pack. Here's the proof. There's my luggage. She proceeds, excuse me. So I think I'm gonna have to get a drink of water. But she proceeds to talk to him about, you know, how she was feeling once he left the beach, and that she was basically, she tells him the story that I pretty much espoused to you. And so he is like, wow. And she goes, I really, I should have chose you, but I want to choose you. I chose you because I chose Rodney because felt a little pressure, and he's such a great guy, and we did have that connection, but I wanted to see where this goes with you. So, will you love me too? And he's like, well, let me get this straight. You went with Rodney, you liked Rodney, but you decided you want to be with me. He gives her one of those eyebrow things. I'm just, I'm just having fun with it. But basically, at the end of the day, he said, look, I don't want to be someone's second choice, and therefore, I don't really want to go there with you. So she collects herself. She's like, that's fair. She collects herself. I'll be back in a second, she says. And then she just goes back on the plane and goes wherever she lives. And so that's the end of that. I do applaud her for identifying what she wanted and trying to go after it. It didn't work out. Obviously, Rodney is not the type but guy she wants, but she did want, and we'll get into that later because she does kind of reevaluate things. And she did want him. She probably does still want him. She's still probably in love with him, but then she realizes, like, at the time, that's not really what she wanted. So it is what it is. So moving on, after that, fresh off the rose ceremony and a step it up comment, Logan, you know, she's talking again. This is when we find out he drives, what kind of car he drives. He's 26-year-old, he drives an orange Honda, he's a dog worker. Basically, this is the resume Kate gives Logan regarding whether or not she wants to be with him. In contrast, she tells everyone she's a wowzer. She wows. She wows in life. She's constantly wowsing people. And so basically, she's putting herself in competition, or it's just it's not a comparison that needs to be made. I think what she should have done is, if she's going to compare anybody, compare the guys. But she doesn't need to compare herself to him, because he's a man. Why are you comparing yourself to him? Like, compare yourself to yourself. Or if you were using his, resume as some this sort of resume, this is, I feel, what she deems as his resume in terms of how he compares to anyone. She should be comparing him to another man that she's looking at, not to herself. So to me, that kind of gave me the clue that she's going to be in competition with him, or she's going to be, like she said, resentful of him because she feels like he doesn't measure up to where she is in life. But I think she should be looking for someone who compliments her, or she compliments actually more than whether or not they measure up to where she is in life, because she shouldn't be in competition with her man or any man that she chooses. So that's just my opinion there. Um, but anyway, they do go and talk and they seem to figure things out. But she does have some concerns because she doesn't want to carry the relationship and she feels like she's had to. So she really wants someone to fight for her words. And obviously, she doesn't want them to fight, but she wants them to kind of basically tell her that they want her and only her type of thing. And Logan didn't do that, she feels, and she wanted him to tell her not to go on a date with Hayden, um, but to tell her that he cares. But he counters and says, "No, I don't think you had to carry this relationship. I feel like I have showed you things. I mean, I told the guys that I like you. Isn't that enough?" And she's like, "Oh, I didn't think that was kind of like a thing. I didn't think you basically claiming me publicly was big enough for me to really be feeling like you're doing all these things that make a relationship work." I think basically what she was trying to say in that instance was, "Hey, this is not this is the basics. Saying, 'Hey, this is my girl,' that's the basics. So if you want to use that as a way to say you're stepping it up in a relationship, then us seeing this relationship last is not going to really go anywhere." What do you think? I would love to hear your comments about this whole scenario because I think this is something that we see a lot in relationships where you're not necessarily happy with everything the guy is doing or you want him to do more, but you're like, okay, um, let me just go with him. Kind of like the guy that you're dating with now, but you don't really see yourself ending up with. And so I think the reality set in coming weeks, and we'll talk about that reality. So we're gonna come back to that, but I want to move on because they do talk about it. She explains her wiring is a little different, and the bottom line, I just feel like there's a lot of egos at stake here, and um, it's just not going to work for them. That's when I was watching this, I was just writing like it's just never going to work enough between them because it's just not going to be enough for her. She's not accepting what he's bringing to the table, and she just feels like it's just not enough. And I think if they decide to push it, it's always going to be an issue. It's always going to be an issue of it not being enough, and she needs more. And then he's going to get his feelings hurt and feel like he can't do enough, and it's just always going to be something. I mean, if he wants to step it up because he wants to be with her, I think he has the capacity to do so. But I don't know if she's going to be patient enough for that to happen. Because, especially since she keeps saying, I'm 33 and, she needs to go do this, that, and the other at a doctor's appointment. She kept alluding to things like this. So if she's not going to be patient, then she just needs to move on to a more well established man. That doesn't necessarily mean he's older. That just means he's more well established or more have things figured out. It could be a guy his age that has things figured out and was well established. But she needs to open her mind to that because I think a lot of people on this show, and we'll get to that moving forward with Shanae breaking it down to one of the twins about how she feels about him. She brings up his age and the fact that she wants to be with a man and she doesn't want to be with a boy type of thing. So anyway, let's move on. I will say, to sum it up, the next day, they did seem to have a good discussion the next day after talking about it. They do talk about it, and when they talk about it, they seem to smooth things over. He sends her a drink to her room. She seems to appreciate it, but then she gives a little dig in there. So you know she's still feeling the same way. Oh, he sends a drink if he's stepping it up, but we all know these drinks are free. Womp womp, type of thing. So then she's becoming negative Nancy again. She's becoming criticize, well, her name's Kate, so let's just say criticizing Kate, negative Nancy. I think I coined that here. Criticizing Kate and a negative Nancy. Like, we don't want to do that. Just say, oh, he's stepping it up. Here's the drink. Cheers. Woo. And that's that. And write in your journal, oh, it was free. Wah, wah, wah. But like, why? We know, she's being recorded. Like, come on, girl. Anywho. So, basically, after this, we see um, a whole lesson about nectar. Nectar, 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 nectar. This is not a free advertisement. This is just saying, um, what's his face? Aaron wants to call nectar everything that's good in the world. Anything good in the world is nectar. So this is the lesson we're getting this week, gals and guys. This is the lesson we're getting this week, folks. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Jasenia makes progress because she feels like things are moving up with her and Andrew, but then things don't go as planned because even though she feels she's making progress, NC comes to the beach. So it's kind of like when she walks on, it's like game over, folks, because Andrew, as soon as he starts connecting with Jasenia, he just jumps to the next one. And this is what I was talking about before in my previous video. I felt that Andrew needed to leave. He needed to leave after Teddy and or after Brittany. It's just his head is just not in the game anymore. He doesn't even want to meet anyone or put in the time and effort, I feel, to make these relationships go someplace. I think he was kind of confused. And so NC comes to the beach, ready for a date, ready to take the man out. Who's it gonna be? Drum roll, please. Andrew. She takes Andrew to the date. So, I mean, this is what it's like. Bye, Jasenia. Adios. Mwah. And he goes off doing his little dance, like that he did in the what is it? The previews with NC. So he dances over with NC and gets on that date. But see, this is my thing. This is the problem with a man who is not over an ex. He's not over his ex. His ex is Teddy. It's not Brittany. Yeah, Brittany was the one in between, but the ex is Teddy. He is not over Teddy. When Teddy left, he was still part of his heart went too. And I think he really should have just left at that point. And maybe they could have figured it out off the scenes. I think maybe that was an option for them. And I feel like he maybe didn't realize that. I think maybe he felt, okay, let me just see how it goes. Let me see if there is a way for me to continue to have this these dates, be on the show, and just kind of figure it out from there. The only reason why he kept dating these women like that is because he felt like this would be a way for him to get back into the swing of things. He really wanted to get back into the swing of things after Teddy, and that's why he just kept jumping. He jumped to Brittany, he jumped to Jasenia, then now NC. And I'm not the only one who noticed, because Jasenia does bring this up. Okay, so Lindsay, who is actually Kate's friend, she wants to take Logan out. Now you can tell that Logan actually wants to go out on a date with her, but because Kate has such a tight grip on him, he is not gonna go. His friends even want him to go. His friends are expressing to Lindsay um, um, when Logan and Kate went on to talk about things that um, he really wants to take you, but some other things going on here. So, particularly Johnny wanted Logan to explore things with Lindsay. And actually looking at them, Lindsay and Logan, actually that's two L's, right? So the L, double L, it would have been cool. Lindsay and Logan, they kind of had, Lindsay had a nice height on her, it seems, in comparison with Logan. And it just looked like it would have been a good match. It really did, now that I'm thinking about it. But of course that didn't happen. Of course, it's going to be one of those things where uh, we're seeing that Kate is definitely going to block that activity from happening. So that's basically what happens. Logan and Kate go off and discuss things. Kate is saying, I thought we went past this. I don't even know why there needs to even be a conversation. I thought you would just tell her no. And Logan expresses he feels that Kate looks down on him. She's disappointed and frustrated with him and critical with him. She says no, but she definitely continues to even express these things behind his back. He asked her if he would feel differently if anyone comes down the stairs. She says no. But then we see at the end of this episode, maybe not who he was referring to of those people coming down the steps. He was referring to men, probably. But then two ladies come down the step, and it's Rachel and Gabby. And even though they're not vying for the heart of Katie, because they're actually, I think, friends or something, but they do influence Kate's feelings toward Logan even more, I feel. So she wasn't being fruitful with herself, or she was not thinking about what if it was someone who could actually influence how I feel about Logan, not a man, but a woman, a friend.